Hey yo, I ain't even gonna lie, yo. I just sat here and had the most insane realization about life and God. Hey yo, I've been something borderline atheist for a long time, y'all. Ain't gonna lie. And more leading towards science and evolution and all of that. But I started thinking, bro, if we are all essentially elements from the universe, right? Think about this now. Now, walk with me real quick. If we have every element inside of our bodies in small, tiny amounts, what brings all of those things together to make consciousness? You get what I'm saying? Like, why aren't all of these individual elements conscious? Why isn't gold conscious? Why isn't water conscious? At least in the way that we understand it, right? Why isn't copper? Why isn't that conscious? All of these different atoms and the energy associated with it, why isn't it conscious? Why aren't they building cities? Why? What brings all of these elements together to bring it into a conscious person, a being that has free will to do whatever it wants and to carry on and implement its will and bend reality to make it softer to it exist and thrive and flourish? What happens? Like, what does that? It has to be a driving force, like a will. Like there's always something like pushing something forward. And the ability to do that in a direction consciously, to be able to choose, I think human beings are the only ones that do that. Like animals do it on a different level, but let's say theoretically they have their own language. Are they conscious? Are birds forming packs around the world and coming together like United Nations to go in other atmospheres? No. We are, though. What makes that happen? What activates consciousness and the overwhelming will to progress forward intelligently? You know what I mean? And not just be on repeat. Have kids, eat, move over here to better climate, do over. What makes that happen? Especially to have no other being that we've come across do that. Is it because of evolution? Maybe they didn't do it yet because they're not evolved yet. We're just the first to evolve this fast to do that. But what brings together all of those things to create life and consciousness and not just an inanimate object? What pulls all of these things out of the universe and then something just say, hey, take a look at yourself, you're alive. What is that? It's gotta be some type of all-powerful being, like, or maybe it's just the being is consciousness itself, willpower. That's the only thing that can, the will to live maybe activates the consciousness. I don't know. Somebody talk to me, man, because this is kind of, I just had to sit here and think like, man, what pulls all of these elements together in one thing and say, exist? What does that? Like that point where you just go from a mindless being or a rock or a stone floating in space to what fuses all of these things together at one point to make it alive. You see what I'm saying? Like what pulls all of these things together? I know in the Bible it says that he made man from the dirt, which I would essentially think it means all of the elements, everything in the dirt, the soil, right? Where things grow. So I would assume someone forging. Like, yo, it's a crazy thing when you think about it outside of being totally indoctrinated into the Bible, which I'm not, although I've read it. You see what I'm saying? Share your thoughts on what you think about this realization. Am I off?